It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
That's my question. The heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
What makes this book so relevant, even though it was written over 100 years ago, is that it's about terrorism.
The work, sex, cars, bars, broads.
And the children is building on what they have. They have great imagination.
Dementia is not a diagnosis. It's a set of symptoms.
And he kept explaining to me that I wasn't gay. You cannot be gay. You just cannot.
The main thing is to be open and honest and be, true to yourself.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking About. I'm Christopher DelGaudio. Now, for those of you out there who might have wondered along the way how a creative idea actually evolves into an entertaining reality, well, sit back and relax. For the next 28 minutes, you're about to find out. Because with us today is a dynamic leader in that field. She's formerly the Director of Creative Services for Long Island's WLNY TV 55, and she recently branched out to form her own Drake Media Network, where she is sought after to conceptualize everything from independent films, television shows, image videos, commercials, and special events. She has hosted numerous outreach seminars throughout the community, and she sits on the board of directors for the Long Island Film and Television Foundation. Also, she is currently the driving force behind 2 television projects, one of which is DJ Chef with host Mark Weiss, and Long Island Home with renowned designer Natalie Weinstein. So bringing with her 16 years of award-winning media experience, Talking About is proud to welcome Donna Drake.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. I hope I wasn't too vague on your resume.
No. That was fine. Thank you.
Well, we're all creative people. You are, I am. And how did it begin for you? I know we all have our little stories about what took us to where we are today, but how did it start for you, and when did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, believe it or not, I think it probably began in grade school. My art teacher noticed that I had an art, ability, and she asked me to participate in a project she was doing where I designed the sets for our chorus program. We were doing like a 50s kind of thing. She asked me to help paint a big picture of Elvis and a big picture of Marilyn Monroe and some other things, and I did. And I think it kind of started there. Like I could see the budding artist beginning to blossom, and then probably around junior high, maybe high school, I watched Kramer versus Kramer. Okay. And the moment that Dustin Hoffman opened up the portfolio, I said that was it.
That's what you wanted to do for the rest of your life. I knew in an instant that I was going to be in advertising, or I was somehow going to be in in the field. And then I also was a performer as a child. So I sang with Futures of America, which is a patriotic youth group. And I just kind of put all those things together, my love for music, my love for art, and it just kind of evolved into a career. So when people ask me what I do for a living, I say it's kind of like adult recess. So, because it's so much fun. So I think it was an early beginning that just kind of continued to develop. And it's still developing, right. And
so
it's a never-ending process.
Right.
Now, you received a BA in Business Communications from Maryville University.
Yes.
And you hold an Associate's in Advertising Design and Commercial Art from Florissant, Missouri?
Yes, Florissant, which means Valley of the Flowers.
Oh, beautiful.
Isn't that
nice, Florissant?
Yeah.
Like the Italian,
Florissant, yes.
How now, from Missouri, what brought you to the Big Apple?
Well, when I was growing up, I always would tell my mom, I remember specifically being in her bedroom, and I was sitting on her bed, and I was brushing my hair in the mirror, and I told her, I said, Mom, I'm not going to die in Florissant. She goes, what does that mean? And I said, I don't know, I just have this feeling I'm going to end up in New York or California. And I worked many years in production in St. Louis at Technosonic Studios, which is the largest facility in the Midwest. We did television commercials there. We did a lot of work for Anheuser-Busch and Ford and Coca-Cola. And then there came an opportunity to move to New York, and I just knew that that was the moment. I said, okay, well, I've done as much as I can do in the arts and entertainment in St. Louis. Obviously, New York is going to have more opportunities for me there. So I moved to New York about 10 years ago.
Was it Manhattan that you moved to originally, or
Actually,
Long Island?
I landed in Long Island, in particular Huntington.
Okay.
And the reason is Huntington, as you know, is also rich in cultural arts.
Sure.
So I drove to Heckscher Park and I noticed that they have free concerts in June, July, and August, free plays and choral programs, and I was like, oh, this sounds like a great town. So I ended up living in Huntington.
Wonderful. Tell us about your experiences at TV 55. What brought you into WLNY, and was the very first position you had Director of Creative Services there?
No, actually they didn't have a Director of Creative Services. What brought me to TV 55 is I had been freelancing and doing pretty well, and I was out on a shoot, and a phone call came in, and they said, there's an opening at a local television station. Are you interested? And I was like, okay, I'll go, check it out and see what it's about. And I went in, and at that time I had had a lot of experience making commercials and doing corporate image videos. The position they had open was a production coordinator, like a promotions position, entry-level position. But I liked the people there, so I said, okay, I'll take the job. So I took the job and then still continued on the side to freelance on other projects and did promotions for them and special events, really enjoyed it, and moved from promotions coordinator to producer-writer, because at that time they realized that I had a commercial production background. So I would go out with the local sales team and started developing commercials for them. So I would go out, and now that kind of helped them develop that section. And then after I became writer-producer, I was then named Director of Creative Services. So I held that position, and I was there for about 5 or 6 years in total.
So it kind of paved the way then for an entirely unique position within WLNY.
Yes, it really did. We had an enjoyable time there. In fact, TV 55 is still a client of mine.
Okay.
So when I went out to start my own company in November, they were totally supportive about that, because they knew that I enjoyed doing all the other things that I like to do. I like to do theater, and I like to do voiceovers, and I like to participate in a lot of different things. So it gave me the best of both worlds.
And I think the entertainment industry is probably one of the most friendly, for want of a better word, towards that kind of thing, because often we're raised in the type of thinking that you can have only one career or one thing that you do. Either you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a CPA. But in entertainment, we can write, we can direct, we can sing, we can act, and it doesn't divert actually from the original intention. It kind of complements and feeds off each other and just makes the entire entity better and the entire experience better.
I'd have to agree with that. Sometimes I tell people, I'm like, it's like sometimes you want to eat pretzels, sometimes you want to eat potato chips. When you're creative, you kind of get a chance to eat both.
Right.
And then sometimes you want Doritos. It's like you want a variety of things.
Exactly.
That's kind of how it is. It's creative energy, I think, is 24/7. You don't really turn it off.
No.
Sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll have a dream and I'll be like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll write it down.
You're in my orbit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what happens to me.
And you can't, sometimes it's very hard to relax even, because it's always in the back of your mind. And there's always something gestating, whether it's a current project or whether it's a past project, a future project. Something is always gestating. And you could be talking to somebody, I could be talking to you right now, and in the back of my mind, an idea is developing somewhere. And it just has to stay in that little compartment.
Right, because it's not time yet, right? It's like, okay, well, when the time's right, then that's going to happen.
But I could feel the hatching. If you could explain what freelancing is, I naturally know what that is, but for the audience that might wonder what exactly freelancing is.
Okay, freelancing is when someone else has a project and they pool a team together of people. For instance, that's kind of what Drake Media Network is all about. And the reason I named my company that is that when I get a project, what I'll do is I'll hire friends of mine that don't work for a specific company, or maybe they're entrepreneurs on their own right and have their own company. I'll call them up and I'll be like, hey, do you want to shoot camera for me for this? Do you want to write? Do you want to act? We kind of pool the whole team together. So a freelancer is a person, could be a graphic artist. It's basically they take whatever their skills are and they take it to different employers and to different venues.
Without working in a regular environment, say every day, and having like a contractual obligation to one studio or to one producer on a regular basis.
Right. They're kind of like a person for hire.
Now, after having that for a while, working at one place, say TV 55, where does one get the courage or the confidence to say, I want to get out and really do this on my own. I love where I'm at.
Right.
I love the people. I love what I'm doing. But I know there's another flight to ascend. and I have to get up that stairway. And as painful as that is, as bittersweet as that can be, we know it has to be done. But what gives the courage for you in particular? What gave you the courage to actually make the move and start your own media company?
Well, as you know, being inspired to be in the field in the first place by a movie, what actually inspired me to take the step was a song that my husband, my new husband, had written. And there is like this little phrase in it that says, "Life is only what you make of it." And I was having a conversation at the television station one day, and all of a sudden I just heard the lyrics in my head. Like, life is only what you make of it. I'm like, life is only what... I'm like, oh. And from that, it was the moment of inspiration. It was like the calling or whatever. And I went in and I spoke to management, and I said, you know what? I said, I think this is where I'm supposed to go. And sure enough, they were like, yeah, we think so. It was like one of those moments of like, wow, like an epiphany. It was like that.
Exactly.
It was an epiphany for me. So, and since then, you know, I left in November, but since then it just seems like every day there's another type of piece of information that just confirms the decision.
That
like,
you're in the right place, and this is where...
Another piece of the puzzle comes in. You know, somebody over here to the left, you know, says, oh, Donna, I need you to work on this, or somebody else comes in, and it just keeps flowing. So I'm like, okay, I guess it was the right decision. It's like riding a bike. Remember when you were a kid and you're riding a bike, or maybe you still like to bike ride, and the feeling you get when the wind is like kind of blowing through your hair, and you're just kind of enjoying the beautiful day, and you're just riding your bike, you have that total freedom. That's where I feel like I'm at right now. I just feel like it's like, wow. You know, every day I'm like, and sure, I mean, believe me, there's challenges, you know, but you just kind of like break right through the fear. You just kind of get on your bike and you just go.
Because you know you're on the right road.
Yeah.
And even though you might have to make some swerves here and there, you're on the right road.
On the right track.
And it's only building.
Yeah, it's really a great feeling.
What were the small steps now that you took in starting your own media company, basically? How does one do that would want to go into business for themselves?
Well, I would suggest either, you know, beginning a new company out of your own home, or for me, what I did is I found space. A friend of mine owns a Digital Waterworks, which is an audio company, and I had been doing voiceovers for him. And he said, look, Donna, I have this, you know, office available. Would you like to be my, you know, suite mate or whatever? And I said, sure. So I would suggest the first thing is find out where you're going to do business from, whether you're going to set up your own office or whether you're going to find a retail location. And then what I did is I just started putting the word out. You know, I got my phone number, you know, which was like a vanity number, so I made sure that the numbers would make sense to somebody, and I, you know, called them and got that set up and set up a website and just started putting the word out there, got business cards created, and really that's all you need. You just need to say, I'm in business. Of course, I incorporate it.
Yeah.
I went through that process, and that's it.
And then just telling people I'm here, I'm out there, and it's basically the perseverance and letting as many people know that you're around and that you exist and this is what I do as you possibly can.
And I also believe, too, in doing the best job I can for every client that I have. Like, I want to ensure their success. Because really, all I have, I didn't grow up with much. You know, I came from a family of, you know, medium income in the Midwest. And you're only as good as your last project. You know, your name means something.
Of course.
So I really try very hard to make sure that all the clients that I work with, that, you know, I have integrity, that I deal with them, that I meet my deadlines. And I think that is the best way to build business. If you're going to be in business, you know, make it fun, but also do your work, do your job, and do it right. And then through that, you know, start building up a referral business. And then after a while, you don't even really need to advertise.
Word of mouth.
It's word of mouth.
Once you've done all the other elements correctly, I find that the word of mouth really helps carry you the rest of the way.
I think so, too.
Because you're definitely somebody people would want to recommend to other people, and you know, who want reliability and who want quality. Now, some of the current projects that you're working on, some of the television shows, DJ Chef with Mark Weiss, Long Island Home. Tell us a little bit about how these transpired.
Well, DJ Chef, Mark Weiss, he's from Long Beach. And he had actually taken my name off of, like, someone else's email. Somebody had, you know, tried to blind copy something or whatever, and he had seen a list of names in there, and he sent me an email. I didn't know who he was. And he emailed me, I guess it was a couple of years ago, saying that he wanted to do a cooking show. Now, Mark didn't have any experience in television at all, but he had a lot of experience in cooking and a lot of other things. So I met with him, went down to Long Beach, And we talked, and we started developing this television show. Well, now Mark is on the radio giving cooking tips. He's cooked for many different celebrities. We shot the pilot, and I've been pitching it now to the networks, and I'm in negotiation with them. And it looks like, you know, the potential for a national show is like right there. It's like right there. So 2 years of hard work is really starting to pay off. But Mark's fantastic. I mean, DJ chef. I mean, he cooks and he plays music, so we had that whole background.
Sure. So
we created a show about food, fashion, and music, which are all things that people enjoy.
Where is he currently airing right now?
Okay, he's currently on the radio, WLIR.
Okay.
And the television show is just in the pilot stage, and it's going to be launched, like I said, probably soon, probably by spring.
Wonderful.
On a channel that I shouldn't mention at the moment,
okay.
but okay.
But
yes,
but
but it's good. Yes, it's big.
Wonderful. Now, on the contrary to that, Long Island home with Natalie Weinstein. Now, she's a renowned designer.
Natalie's fabulous. Natalie's more than just a designer. I mean, she really touches the lives of everybody that she comes in contact, whether or not you use her as a designer or not. I mean, she's totally there to help people. She gives great seminars. So I met Natalie also, I guess, a couple of years ago and sat down with her. And at the time, she said that she wanted to do a television show. And I said, I don't really have the time. I said, I'm working on all these other projects. I said, but, you know, let's talk about it. And about 6 months after that, I said, okay. I said, what is it that you want to do? I will help you. So we sat down and we started putting that together. And what Natalie does is she has wonderful resources. She deals with Paycar carpets and different people that put in audio theaters in people's homes. So the concept of the show is to go behind the scenes. Okay. Let's find out how carpets are made. Let's find out how rugs are made. You know, let's find out what the tips are and what you need to do when you purchase a rug. For instance, I didn't know this, but when you buy a rug to go underneath your dining room table, it needs to be a certain, you know, width, so that when you pull your chair out, your chair still stays on the rug.
Right.
I didn't know these things. Natalie knows these things.
Right.
So putting together the show for her is a way for her to communicate about interior design.
Wow, like the coffee table has to be 18 inches away from the couch or the sofa. Somebody taught me that during set design.
Okay, see, there's like these little things. And she has that knowledge. So I'm trying to bring her into the market in a television way so that she can, you know, help other people out there that need to know those things.
Sure.
So.
And it's interesting how, for as busy as we are and how spread thin a lot of us can be, when a new project presents itself and it's exciting, we lend ourselves to it. We just find the time and make the time. Somebody had told me one time, and I think it's something I heard that Lucille Ball had said, if you want to get something done and get it done well, give it to the busiest person you know. Because they're already in the mindset of having to complete something by a deadline and in a certain way, and they'll fit it in.
Right. Or even for me, you know, sometimes it's like people have hobbies, like their hobbies might be bowling or yachting or whatever they might enjoy doing. For me, it's media.
Yeah.
Like I think about it and I say, not only is it something I love to do and it's work, but in my free time I find myself, you know, enjoying it, whether it's going to go see a play or producing a play or something like that. So at night, it's still the same.
That's exactly how I would see it. I can't say I would divert from writing and directing and say, well, now I'm going to concentrate on my stamp collection.
Right.
Or on my coin collection. I'll go to the theater, I'll go see a film, or I'll be involved in some other way. But it's always a part of us.
Yes, that's true.
And it's a wonderful thing when it can become a livelihood as well as a lifestyle.
I really feel blessed by that. I mean, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I say thank you, God, every day.
Of course.
I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Now, once the acting bug bites, you've acted, I've acted a great deal, and yet we've been thrust into other areas of entertainment. But do you get the opportunity to perform very much, and is the desire to perform still very predominant?
The desire's always there. I mean, I love acting. I love, you know, bringing a character to life. I remember doing an independent film with Glenn Andrea years ago. Because as you remember, I'm not from here originally, I'm from Missouri, so I had to like re-meet all these people, and Glenn was one of the first people that I had met, and he put me in a film called Mad Wolf.
Okay.
And it was phenomenal. I had a great time, and I was sitting at the Cinema Arts Center, and I was watching it, and I was watching myself on the screen, and I was like, oh, that's me up there, you know, because I hadn't really participated in anything in New York. And recently, I was just in Know Thy Neighbor with John Reedy,
yes.
So I do get an opportunity to do a lot of acting still, which is fun, and I participate in the Huntington Village Theater Company, some of their productions. So I do, which is nice.
Shirley Harrison Brown has been a guest on the show before.
So yes, love Shirley. In fact, I designed their logo for them.
Yes, that's right.
The man and the woman making the theater curtains, that was my logo design. That was also something I created. One of the first people I met when I moved to Long Island was Shirley Harrison Brown.
Wonderful lady.
What a great person to meet, you know. But I do get to act, which is nice, and I like to balance it. You know, sometimes it's hard to be the producer when you want to act, or you're acting and you want to produce. It's like you have to like turn it on and turn it off.
Well, that's always the predicament I've been in doing Realm of Never. I'd like to be in more episodes, but I know I can't wear two hats simultaneously. It's very difficult. So one is kind of a trade-off of the other.
Right, you flip the switch.
But when we have, and truthfully, I'd rather work in other people's, act in other people's work.
Yeah, I would
with another
too.
director and with another writer. I think Chris the director would be much too hard on Chris the actor.
You'd be fighting at home. You'd be like, no, no, no.
That'd be a show in itself. What in this line of work would you say was your most notable experience? Be it acting or producing or coordinating.
My goodness, what a question.
Moment, what was the most, I don't want to say life-altering, but really the most remarkable moment or time that you had in this line of work?
I think I'd have to go back to August when I was honored by the Long Island Film and TV Foundation last August. It was that moment of being able to stand up and just say thank you. I was honored for being a friend of the foundation, but what I really wanted to do was just stand up and say thank you to all the people that I had worked with. And that was wonderful. It was a great experience to have that 2 minutes of time to stand up and say, hey, thank you for the money that you've given me to support my projects. Thank you for acting in my projects. Thank you for just letting me be me. So I think so far that's been one moment that stands out in my mind where I say, ah, that felt good.
Exactly. What are some of the endeavors now for the future?
One of the things I'm working on is I'm working with Steve Strangio. He wrote a play called Happy Saturdays. And the first time I saw it on stage, I said, wow, I'm like, this is funny. This is really funny. He wrote it about the behind-the-scenes experiences at a crazy, like, theme restaurant. It's a 6-person play, and we're taking it on the road as, like, dinner and watching a live sitcom. Okay. And we'll probably be turning that into a television show as well.
Sure.
But for now, what we're doing is we're performing it across Long Island. We'll probably be doing it in the city. And it's funny. It's very funny. So I invited you. Yes, so you'll definitely have to come.
No, and we did see it over at Tello's in Huntington.
Yeah.
Very, very funny.
Thank you.
And you have 2 separate acting troupes now that are working.
Yeah, what I realized is that if I was going to put on a show, that I needed to also have understudies just in case someone was sick or something. Because once again, it's about if you put your name out there, and then what happens if you try to put on a show and people don't come? People will be horribly disappointed if an actor's missing and there's no show for the night. So what I did is I have the first group and then the second cast, and now we're also looking for additional understudies for that, because we're finding sometimes we're booking venues, you know, like Wednesday nights at one location, Thursday nights at another location, and as we continue to add venues, I'm going to need to continuously find more actors. So, which is great, because the actors are so happy, right?
Sure, and it's a very fun
happy.
show to be in, a lot of laughs, and it's good to maybe alternate a number of different talents within it, and it takes on so many different dimensions.
That's definitely true. That's true.
What type of piece attracts you? What type of writing, what type of play or television show makes you say, wow, I really want to be a part of this and I really want to contribute something to this? What do you look for?
Well, usually it's 2 things. One, I usually look to see if there's a greater good that comes of it. For instance, I'm working on a project, Movies on the Radio, which is going to be a radio show where we're actually playing movies on the radio, kind of like people that like books on tape.
Right.
And a portion of the proceeds are going to help fight the Foundation for Fighting Blindness, because people that are blind necessarily, sometimes when they go to the theater, they need someone to describe the parts that are only visual. Right. Let's say it's Rocky running up the stairs. So Movies on the Radio, in that project, what will happen is for the part of the movies that are just visual, I'll be describing it. Wow. Along with Steve. And so it's a brand new project. We thought of this concept. We're going to be on local radio beginning mid-June. And what interests me most about that project is it also makes a difference.
Sure.
So a lot of times I'll be interested in projects like that, or I'll be interested in someone else's projects where it changes someone's life. It inspires them. It motivates them. You know, it just makes the journey more pleasant for somebody. It makes a difference. Because for me, that's the reason that you're in a communication business anyway. It's like, okay, what's the message and how will that impact the world?
That was, I think, probably one of the foremost things that brought me to the world of entertainment, basically, is the way in which the arts can heal and the arts can inspire. I don't think I could even envision myself so much doing a piece that's extraneous, that says nothing or means nothing. It's got to help people. It's got to reach people in some way.
I'm committed to that, too.
And I think the business needs more people like you.
Oh, thank
and
you.
Me, that have that at heart.
Thank you. I find that, too. I find that, as I was saying earlier, like all the pieces of the puzzle for my business are kind of coming together. It's really like that. I'm really enjoying all the people that I'm working with. It's like the kind of like the same mind is kind of like attracting, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's kind of building and building, and it makes it wonderful.
Exactly. Well, in the final couple of minutes that remain, I usually close every program with the same question. And I ask everybody, in your case, being in entertainment, at the close of your career, what unique contribution do you hope to have brought to the world of entertainment that hadn't been there before?
Wow, at the close of my career, when the final curtain goes down.
When all is said and done.
When all is said and done.
When it's lifetime achievement time.
Yeah, I would just hope that someone somewhere would say, I really am happy that Donna Drake lived. She made a difference, and because of her, you know, I went to bed either laughing or weeping, but at least I went to bed and there was like a difference that was made.
And what advice would you give to any aspiring hopeful that might be embarking upon a career in the arts?
I'd have them call me. I am more than happy to mentor anyone, to, you know, help anybody along the way. I'll answer anybody's questions. So if there's anyone out there that would like to have a career in the arts, call me and I'll at least try to put them in contact with someone that can help them.
And your telephone number will be included at the end of the show, as well as your website and all necessary information. And I thank you once again for taking the time.
It was great to be here.
To share your experiences and your know-how with us, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you. I'd be more than happy to come on.
Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us for another edition of Talking About. I'm Christopher DelGaudio, your host, and we hope to see you again next time. Thank you. It's very fun.